just to see like wildfire, it's like over 200 wildfires that close to the Arctic Circle. It is just like, it kind of reminds you that there's no place that's safe from any impact of the climate crisis.
Not at all. And the flood, I think that might be the one thing that's would set me off more than the fascists. Like, I'm neck deep in the anti-fascism like you guys are, but seeing the governments of this world literally ignore what's happening around us really suggests that we should take things up a notch, because we're here now. And then it's funny, one last thing, it's funny how everyone all the conservatives mocked Greta Thunberg's tweet that she sent out 5 years ago in June, but as soon as 5 years came and June hit, almost to the date, we start seeing all of these all the impacts, all the flooding, all the extremes. So
the heat waves. Yeah,
they can't read. That tweet is like, it doesn't say what they think it says, but it's crazy how they're bringing that back as like a gotcha.
Right.
And how is that an epic dunk? Like, oh, it's not as bad. Society is still standing. It's like, okay, let's do something. Like, I'm also like, I'm really furious that Joe Biden's pushing back against calling it an emergency or even declaring it an emergency. He's like, oh, we've almost gone all the way. It's like, God damn, like, do you not see the writing on the wall right now?
Yeah. There's
it's because they just think this is what's supposed to be happening. That's what their new like framing of it is. It's like, it's not man-made. This is what the Earth goes through all the time. Now that they can't just ignore it and pretend that it's not going to happen at all, which is ridiculous.
Or it's space lasers. Like they're they're blaming it on everything.
I saw some of that shit.
Climate change. Yeah.
But like, let's even just take it from that scenario. It's completely inevitable. There's nothing that humans did to cause it. There's plenty of things that have been equal to that scenario that people have stepped in and used technology, advancements in technology and science to change. I mean, it's ridiculous to think like we're not naturally supposed to go into space, but you don't see anyone telling Elon Musk to stop SpaceX right this instant. This is not the way things are supposed to go. It's unnatural.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't supposed to fly. That's true.
Yeah, there was a... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to play a clip here because...
although I do think Elon Musk should shut down SpaceX and we should not follow him to Mars. So that one I agree with. If they want to take that up, I'm on board.
This is the last clip I have from this Kudlow interview, but Trump has the answer to climate change, all right? So let's...
I'm excited. I haven't heard this.
And they're taking our appliances away.
Well,
they're taking our heaters. It's all in the name of climate change.
Yeah. So you remember when we were having a discussion about it, they sell, if you buy a new house, you have water that doesn't even come out. Even if you're in an area that most of the country has plenty of water, called rain from heaven. It comes right from heaven. Beautiful rain.
Nice.
You don't know what to do. Some places have so much they don't know what to do. And yet they have restrictors on the showers and the sinks and on washing machines where they don't give enough.
Okay, back to the wash. Okay. It's more the rains from heaven that I was really impressed by. Like, wow, they have so much that they don't know what to do with it. So much rain from heaven. Yeah.
Listen, whenever there are bad wildfires, everyone just needs to go to their bathroom and masturbate. Make the angels cry so it rains a lot. Make the angels cry so it rains a lot.
Okay. I see what you did there, Matt. That was a good overlay of evangelicalism. All right.
Those are rookie numbers. You just got to get those numbers up.
Yeah, man.
There was this report that Shell is trying to get influencers to sanitize their image. And they're not making them do climate denialism. They're trying to make it seem as if they are they're fighting climate change by doing carbon offsets with everything. And so there's apparently, this is a report in the latest, like Philip DeFranco, and there's like 100 different influencers that have taken the bait for it. And yeah, so that's what they're trying to do to convince younger people that, you know, these fossil fuel companies who are destroying the planet for short-term profits, they're not actually the bad guys. See, they're actually helping the situation. And it's crazy how quickly they've moved the goalpost, right? Because I think like 10 years ago, that's when like Jim Inhofe was taking a fucking snowball to the Senate floor, and they were just denying it. But then 5 years later, it's like, oh well, it's happening, but it's not man-made. And then it's like, oh well, it's happening, and maybe it's man-made, but it's not that big of a deal. It's going to happen anyway. So it's just crazy how much they're scrambling.
I'm actually surprised.
Delay, and it's working.
I'm actually surprised. I really thought Trump was going to go to his old favorite where he would go, I remember they called it global warming. Now it's climate change. Global warming, climate change. It was supposed to get warmer, but now things are cold. It's cold. It's cold here.
Did you see that Ben Shapiro came out and then he actually had to admit it. He's like, okay, it's hot. It's really fucking hot. Well, thank God we live in a time and an age when we all have air conditioners. Turn on your air conditioners. That was it. Like, that was the extent of it.
Well, that's that's a very American take, even because in a lot of countries, even in like Europe, in the UK, I hear this is like a big thing in the UK where like it's been over the years getting hotter and hotter there, and ACs are not a normal thing in the UK. Like buildings and homes don't have like the built-in AC infrastructure like buildings in at least here in New York City are built with. So that's not even, and it's not even like, oh, it's in industrialized nations, not developing countries. No, literally in industrialized nations, in some of the biggest countries on the planet, the AC is not a normal thing. It's not a thing that they ever needed, really, until now.
Yeah, I can't remember ever renting an apartment that had an AC built in. In Oregon.
Well, here in New York, it's not if it's not like put in the wall. There's like the opening in the wall a lot of times for the AC, for you to buy your own AC and just fit it in. Yeah,
that's what I had to do. I had to buy like a used AC a long time ago because it's just you can't survive without one now.
I'm curious. I don't know why I always get these people. Do you think these people actually believe what they say, like the climate deniers? Do you think they actually believe that climate change isn't a problem? Or do you think they're sociopathic enough to believe it, don't care, let's make this money, and whatever happens to our kids and grandkids doesn't matter?
I think there's sociopaths.
It's a little bit of both, probably, depending on the individual. I'm sure there's, a swath of people who don't believe in it at all, a swath of people who believe it and want it to happen for religious reasons. There's a swath of people who know what's going to happen and just won't care because they got theirs and they won't be here for the aftermath. Maybe they don't have kids. Maybe they don't even care about their kids or grandkids. A lot of selfish people in this world. So yeah, I think it's a combination of all, and probably others who other scenarios that I haven't even thought of yet. Probably some bizarre people who wish they were, cavemen living through the Ice Age fighting woolly mammoths, and they dream of the scenario where they're where they're Neanderthals or something. I don't know.
I think that Ben Shapiro in particular, I think he knows though. I think that he is very much aware of what he's doing, and he's making a choice for money. And I think that he just hopes that like the money can insulate his children and grandchildren from the worst effects. There's certainly those who have drunk the Kool-Aid. I think Charlie Kirk absolutely really gone mentally. He's a believer in all of this stuff. Matt Walsh too, but like Ben Shapiro, I think that he absolutely knows what he's doing, and that's what makes it more like nefarious and sick. Because as egregious as he is, like there is a level of intelligence that you don't see there. Like he's much more savvy in the way that he presents arguments.
But I guess though that makes sense, Mike, because if he can balance organizing with fascists being Jewish, then surely he could balance destroying the planet and being a propagandist for oil companies while his children are going to be here to suffer afterwards. So that's the kind of guy Ben Shapiro is. I agree.
Yeah,
Ben, to your point, I think it was like 7 years ago I read this article where there was a team of people meeting with a lot of executives in the highest levels. Like we're talking CEOs, billionaires, captains of industry, and a whole bunch of people, especially from the scientific community, were really excited that they were going to come there to talk about climate change and possible solutions, how they can all work together. And they were astounded to find out that all of them wanted to know what they have to do as climate change happens. Like, how do we mitigate this? Like, where do we put our mansions? Where do we have to live underground? How do we build this? Like, not at all about like, how could we try and mitigate this whole process? Just how do we keep ourselves safe into the future? And it was haunting. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's scary that we're still talking only about mitigation, because one thing that doesn't get focused on enough is climate change is here. And so you have to focus on adaptation, like focus on what is already going to happen inevitably. And so you have a ton of vulnerable people, a lot of cities without like cooling centers, nursing homes in particular that are going to be vulnerable. Like I know in 2021, when we had our 115-degree heat wave in Portland, none of us were prepared for that. Like my mom's plants were scorched, and I think like 100 people died, and it affected people disproportionately in nursing homes. And so like you've got to just accept it's here to an extent. We should still try to prevent further increase, but like we've got to work with what we've got also. And I think people are just kind of like we're the frogs in the boiling pot, and it's to the boiling point, and we're just like, man, we've got to stop it from getting hotter when we're boiling. It's scary.
Wow.
It's also, I think, just it's a tough issue for people to grasp. Like, I notice this with anybody's climate change video, whether it's mine, whether it's Mike, like, they don't perform well. Like, I still cover the issue because I want to cover it. I think it's important for people to be aware of this stuff. But
the
just
views
from
are like that.
Yeah, people don't want to engage with it. Even people that agree with us, because it's all like, yeah, we know, but like, I can't do anything. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the feeling I think a lot of people get, is just that they feel helpless. Even if they're aware of it, they just feel like, no one's listening. Anyone in power that can do anything isn't doing anything. And the people that need to hear the message are not hearing the message. So it just feels like we're going in circles, talking to the same people, saying the same things that people already know. And people don't want to engage with this topic that is just very daunting to them because they don't know how to deal with it.
Right. I appreciate the heads up for that, David. I'm just going to leave a note for myself here. If you want to grow your YouTube channel, no climate change.
Well,
I like what you were doing, David, where you would hide them in your videos. Like you'd be showing me a video.
Yeah, I've done a few like that, where it's about something else.
Trick.
Like,
that's a smart trick. Yeah, it's good.
I did a Hunter Biden video that I didn't care about. I didn't care about Hunter Biden at all. So I introed it Hunter Biden, and then I went straight to climate change. And it worked. I mean, it didn't do great, but it worked better than a typical climate change video would. So
yeah, if you don't, it's like hide the pill and cheese. If you don't do that, they're not going to want it. But I used to get really frustrated with that, right? Because it is like it's demoralizing to see people.
How did you? I just got to know. How did you segue into climate change from Hunter Biden?
It was blunt.
I forget how exactly. I don't know. It was clever. I think the way I did it. I forget how it was though. But I remember being impressed.
It wasn't penis related, Matt. If that's what you're asking.
This would be how would you guys? Wait. How would each of us? I don't know how would pull that off. Could you guys pull that off? Could you segue?
Oh, it would
from Hunter
penis
Biden
for me all the way. Oh, penis for sure. Oh yeah, I'm full penis. Going penis in this one. Yeah.
Well, there was one video I did on climate change. It was about there was some bird going extinct, and the bird, I think the bird was called. Yeah, the great tit. So I was like great. Like I think the title was something like "Great Tits are going away" or something. Yeah. And the thumbnail was like a guy looking at his computer, like, oh my god. So, he had no idea it was a climate change video.
The Earth is going up in smoke like his crack pipes. You could do.
That works. Yeah. Wow.
That's all I got.
Well, listen. You. Can
I got one. If we don't do something,
if
if we don't do something about climate change right now, the only skiing you'll be doing is off of Hunter Biden's coffee table. Okay.
All right. Who else got one?
Well, let me remind you all. A month ago now, my most popular video was a video technically about climate change, but it started from a fart at a JFK press or an RFK press hearing. So I took that, turned it into climate. I mean, that was easy though, because
fart held around the world. Yeah,
they were arguing about climate change, and one of them farted. And so I was like, okay, well, here we go. Boom. There's my end, right? But yeah, if you don't do that, it does. Yeah, people don't want to see it. And I used to get really frustrated with people who like don't want to watch these videos about climate change. But now I realize I do the same thing. Like I actively avoid it because it makes me feel super hopeless, right? Like there was something about the collapse of the ocean, and there was another article that I saw about coral reefs dying, and I'm like, I don't need to see it. Here's what I'm mentally. I have prepared to live like my elder years as The Walking Dead. And that's my way of coping, I guess. It's like, well, I know it's going to be bad, so like, do I need to mentally, is it healthy for me to engage? And I kind of feel like people also do the same thing. So unless you can like try to hide climate change in your video or make it funny somehow, which how can you?
It's hard to make it funny. I try.
It's really hard.
It's not easy.
If you
really
can
hard.
find like Dave Rubin saying something stupid about climate change, maybe. But it's like I hate that we have to like try to clickbait people into getting climate change topics when
I think that is part of the art of.
though.
I think that's part of the art of education, though. Like especially like the way that YouTube works, you kind of have to find a way to educate through entertainment, and I mean that's what I try to do. Like I realize a lot of these topics are dry. They can be boring. So you want people to learn, right? Like you want people to know what's going on, and the way to do that, the best way to do that, I've always thought is through comedy. And since I'm not a comedian, I try to do it through other ways. but like there are ways that you can talk about these issues that climate change is definitely a tough one, but I think for the vast majority of other topics, there are ways that you can, communicate them through whether it's clips and then expand on those clips. That's what I tend to do is I have a clip, then I'll go deeper into that topic. And there are ways around just, doing a dry content where that has an audience as well. But I think if you want to reach people who don't normally engage with information or news, there's a way to do it where it's not just dry and you kind of have to be a little entertaining while doing it.
I stay away from the topic because I'm more prone to be a stochastic terrorist on it. Because I want to recommend if corporations are still people, that we assassinate every single oil company, things like that. So
in a video game,
right? In a video game, kind of. Yeah. We just joking, right? And we're
in
kind of, sort of, in Minecraft, stochastic, all that. But it's a little harder for me to even talk about those subjects, like because what do you tell your children? What do you tell your children not to have children? Right. And so when I go down that road, it becomes extremely dark really quick. So I kind of tend to I cover it because we have a responsibility to cover it. Right. But outside of that, I too have to stay away from it.
Well, and I feel like that's valid because all of us know, but we can't say that we are not going to get action to take place by normal political means. It's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? It would have happened already. Like we're talking about an existential threat to our entire species. So it's hard to talk about this and talk about solutions as if, just like, electoral politics, make sure you vote is going to be, the main thing when we all know that's not going to happen. Like you've got to burn shit down in a way. Not recommending this only in Minecraft, but in Minecraft, you have to burn shit down. You know what I mean?
And then build.
Rebuild. Right. Yeah.
Well, the burning down's already happening, so we just there's enough forest fires for the building.
Listen, who's going to tell the difference between a Molotov cocktail and a forest fire at this point? They're all
right.
In Roblox.
Yes. Or Terraria. Yeah.
Speaking of climate change, there's there's an airport, Frankfurt Airport, that is apparently underwater.
Yes.
What?
Yes, completely.
Oh my God.
This tweet here, we've gone from seamlessly from airports being blocked by climate activists to being blocked by climate impacts.
Wow.
I saw one image where there was like water pouring through the front doors.
I mean, they could just sell their plane and buy a different plane at a different location.
Can one of you read that tweet for me?
I'm not going to try.
No, I don't want the translation. I want to hear it as it's meant to be. Subs, not dubs. Give me the real version.
It's a beautiful language.
It is a beautiful language. One that I think is very hard to not sound a certain way though while speaking.
And yet they speak flawless English every time too.
Oh my God!
Yeah, very good.
You guys kind of, I see the hanging out with y'all really does bring out some of the darkest and worst jokes I have.
But also the sillies, right, Ben? We're silly.
Yes. We're gonna keep it lighthearted. Yes, thank you.
That's crazy footage. That's
there it is. That's the one.
Jeez,
that's the one.
Wow,
that's horrifying.
That looks like Mission Impossible. That's wild.
Yeah, that is crazy.
So wait, what is this? Is this from? Was there a storm or rain, flooding, or did something give? Did some
I have to imagine it's a never-ending storm. Like, I'm not sure what else it would be.
Like what's headed to California.
Looks like Bioshock.
Apparently.
Yeah, California might be hit by a hurricane. It looks like.
Yeah. First one in 80 years that they've been hit by in that region. So
Jesus,
crazy.
they're expecting.
California gets it bad with the wildfires and then the fire tornadoes and all those other things.
2 to 3 years worth of rain in a matter of days is what they're predicting.
Okay.
Gee,
Yeah.
Wait, the hurricane's name is Hillary? Come on.
Yeah, you can get more known than that.
Come on.
Check the emails.
Hurricane Hillary.
You gotta be kidding me.
Should have voted for me.
Show you for voting for Bernie in 2020, California.
Lock it up. Lock it up.
Oh man.
Yeah, I should probably look at the path of that because California is my neighbor.
You're right up
but
there.
yeah. I mean, depends on where in California, right? But I'm in like northern Oregon, so hopefully we'll be okay. Hopefully everyone's okay. But yeah,
if it reaches you, Mike, then it's time for us to escalate in our climate activism.
Goodness. Our quote activism.
Yes. No, our videos, our YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll kill all our channels by covering climate change even more.
Cocainum.
Up yours. Woke moralists. Up yours.
This is systematic bullying that's happening.
Woke moralists.
Whoopsie.
Up yours.